free to ask questions to this current students and alumni. Okay, so we're going to get started. Today is the admissions info session about the new business analytics program. I'm the director of the program, and here with me today, I'm very happy to welcome our current students as well as an alumni from the very first class. So Caroline is class of 2017. She's currently working at BCG Gamma in Boston here, and we have Celine, Rachel, and Chimney as well, who are current students in the Master of Business Analytics program. And I'll be leading them through some Q&A, and you can also ask them questions. And for those of you online, you can also ask questions to us at any time during this presentation. To ask a question, you type in through the chat. Okay, so just to motivate everyone about analytics, here's a key data point that I really enjoy, and I'll have a quick quiz for those of you here and online. So over 2.5 quintillion bytes of data are created every day. This was a research study done in 2012, so it's probably a lot more now. But does anybody know what 2.5 quintillion is as a number? Any mathematicians here? No? Want to guess? Do you want to guess over there? It looks like you.
No, I don't know. Quintillion. I've never heard of quintillion.
So trillion, billion.
10 to the 15th?
10 to the 15th? Well, it's actually 10 to the 18th, but it's an exabyte of data. So we're talking now exabytes, zettabytes, and yottabytes of data are being created every single day, and which is leading to a data explosion in the world and the need for data scientists. So you can see here that the growth has been tremendous, both within MIT and Boston and the world. There's exponential growth in the need for data science, for data analysis, for machine learning, deep learning, and all the great keywords in artificial intelligence right now. There are differences in data science roles. We can see it as multi-layered for data science. So at the bottom, we start with data-driven decision-making. This is mainly your Excel spreadsheets and your basic analysis of descriptive data. As you move on through the layers of complex data analysis, we go into functional, analytical development roles. And at the very top is where MIT is focused. The very top layer is the advanced analytics layer, where we are training students and the future leaders in data science to create sophisticated models and develop algorithms to create predictive and prescriptive analysis for companies and organizations around the world. So advanced analytics at MIT, what are we talking about? And what are our students doing right now? So the traditional operations research study has been around for decades. It's not a new study. Data science has been around before the world wars. The original operations research curriculum brings you from models to decisions. When we layer on top machine learning, which we define as starting from data, we end up with models from operations research combined into making predictions. So at MIT, we combine the discipline of machine learning with operations research to arrive at values and decisions that make businesses harness their data in a more effective way. So our program is the most competitive program right now at MIT, and hopefully you are interested in applying this year or next year or in the future. Are you all coming to apply this year? Raise your hand. Yes, most of you, or maybe in the future. So it is getting more and more competitive. So I think the earlier you apply, the better chances you'll have. We were just ranked the #1 business analytics program in the world. So we're very lucky, and hopefully we'll maintain that ranking in the future. But you can see the number of applications is about 30 to 1. One person for every 30 person is admitted. So we're looking for, the next class is 40 to 50 students. The current class here is 30, and Caroline's class is actually 16. So her class was the pilot, and we're doubling in size as we go. So I'm going to turn it over to the students to talk about the curriculum. This is just an overview slide about what the required core and the electives are. So I might, you can read this slide. Basically, there's 5 classes that are core, along with a software tools seminar that teaches R, Python, SQL, and Julia. And then there are electives that the students can choose from. So first question to our student panel is about your academics. Can you discuss the relationship between the operations research classes, the MIT Sloan classes, and what you're taking as your electives, or what you've taken as your electives? Jimmy, do you want to go first?
I go first. Okay. Hi, everyone. So particularly the relationship that the classes have with regards to Sloan and ORC is you're allowed to take classes both at Sloan and at ORC. To start out with, you're here for 2 semesters on campus and 1 semester you do your summer internship. For the first semester, most of your classes are fixed to give you a very strong base in terms of analytics and machine learning, and you're allowed to take 1 elective. So I was particularly interested in taking a course called Analytics of Operations Management, and apart from that, I had the required core courses as listed in the slide there. And in addition to what Michelle said, in the coming semester, you also get to explore options at Greater MIT, and you can also cross-register at other schools like Harvard.
Rachel?
Yeah, so my first semester, the elective that I chose was Economics of Information, which was an interesting class that kind of combined a lot of the emerging technology that's coming out today with an economics viewpoint, which was a really cool class. In the spring, we're still like picking our current classes, but like Chinmay said, we're encouraged to take classes both at Sloan, operations research classes, and then we're available to take PhD level classes in computer science and math.
Hi, so yes, one thing I liked is that we could take advantage of being at Sloan to take some Sloan courses. So my elective was financial markets, which doesn't have that much to do with analytics, but it was a course that I was really interested in. So it was really cool to have that option. And so yes, for the second semester, I would be more looking forward to courses that are a bit more in the computer science department, or given offered to the OR, and a few courses in Sloan.
Hi everyone. So I guess the classes electives I also took Economics of Information, which I thought was really cool. You get to learn a lot in kind of the overview. You don't code there, but you get to learn what's going to happen with the future and data and the companies using data, driving data, like Uber and all those examples. And they have a lot of really good speakers as well. So for the spring, I took innovation strategy, which was fun because I think a strategy class you can take advantage of the whole full range of Sloan. And then I also took marketing analytics, which was very interesting. And additionally, I took demand modeling, which was more of a theoretical subject. But I kind of want to add to the relationship between the two of them that, at least for me, coming straight from undergrad into going into MIT, was a very neat experience to be sitting in a classroom with people that had years and years of experience. Like you have the MBAs, yes, that have maybe like 3-4 years of experience, but then you also have executive MBAs that have worked for 10-15 years. And it's not everyone who can get into the executive MBA at Sloan. They're usually in big companies and have a lot of responsibility, and to be able to have discussions like you do in your Sloan classes with people of that caliber is very, you can learn a lot, even though it feels intimidating for someone who has 0 years of work experience.
Great, thank you. Yep, so as you see from the curriculum, there's a required core, but there's also a lot of flexibility. And on top of this required core is the capstone project. So the students have to do a mandatory 24-unit capstone project, which is equivalent to 2 full courses. It starts in January and it ends in the summer. And it includes a guaranteed summer internship with the company that the students are matched with. And I'll talk more about that in the future. But for now, are there any questions about the curriculum that we can answer while we're on this slide, either online or in person? There is a 4.5 minimum GPA, which is a B+ average. At MIT, we're on a 5.0 scale. So 5.0 is an A, a 4.0 is a B, and you must maintain half A's, half B's in order to graduate. Any questions online?
No, they think that the Q&A is at the end, so.
Oh, Okay. Okay, we'll go forward. So at MIT, we really believe we have world-class faculty. Some of our amazing faculty include Arnie Barnett, who teaches probability, Eric Bernolfson, who is the head of the Initiative on Digital Economy. He was recently on NPR talking about platform strategy with research on companies he's done, such as Amazon and platform companies like Airbnb and Uber. And he teaches economics of information, which Rachel and Caroline took. Dimitri Bertsimas, he is the head of our program. He created the program from scratch. He is the faculty director of the Operations Research Center as well as the Master Business Analytics program. He teaches the machine learning class. He teaches an advanced PhD level optimization class, and he really runs the entire program. And then Georgia Parakas does a lot of research in retail and marketing and sales, as well as supply chain. She works with retail companies like Zara and LV, for example. And Karen Zhang also does retail, but in the inventory management space. So we have a diverse set of faculty. And my next question to our panel is to ask the panel for some good faculty stories. So think of some faculty that you've worked with or some experiences, what it's like to work, to study with MIT faculty or work with them on research, and who your favorite faculty members are. So Chimney?
So to begin with, I'll give you two examples. The first one is from this year, the second batch that we have. The business analytics program has allowed us to do research assistantships. So we get to work, if we want to, with a professor at Sloan School or the Operations Research Center. Now, because they're trying this out for the first time, they're obviously, they were wary of the workload that any individual student will have. So to address this issue, Michelle and Dimitri both together organized a session where everyone could come and discuss the issues that they're having and whether they're liking the experience or not. And this, I think, is something that's really commendable because they're always looking out for you. And this sense that you get that people are there who are there to support you while you excel at MIT is something that drives you to push further. In addition, I'm also doing a research assistantship with a professor, Vivek Faryas, and it's an amazing experience to work with him because you get to have one-on-one conversations about research that he's doing, and the detail that we go into is something that is a very invaluable part of the experience that I'm having here at Sloan.
So my story is about Eric Brynjolfsson. One of our homework assignments for economics of information was to write a letter to Jeff Wilke, who's in the C-suite at Amazon. He runs their retail division. And so it was, a hypothetical letter. Like if you got to sit down with him, what would you tell him? Like what advice would you give him about running Amazon? So we wrote these letters and we turned them in, and we come into class the next day and Eric has brought Jeff Wilke into class and we all had to stand up and read our letters to him. It was like optional, but very strongly suggested. So I was like, oh my God, if I had known he would actually be here, might have thought about my answer a little bit differently. But it was so cool. And he was really invested in our answers. He wasn't just there as like a favor to his pal, Eric. Like he was really invested in us and like added all of us on LinkedIn. And so it was a really cool experience. And Eric just like brought him in because he thought that we were a valuable part of the community.
So I don't have, well, I guess the faculty member that I've seen the most would be Dimitris, because he's always around at the Operations Research Center. And well, as Michelle said, he's the one that created our master, and he's really taking care of us, asking us how we're doing, how's the master for us. And the thing that I really like is that he's really focusing on things that can be useful for us. So when we want to like take a course, we can ask for advice, and he would be saying, this is not like, this is a good course, but it's too theoretical. Like he's really preparing us for the real world, which I find really good. And also something that I find really interesting is that working at the Operations Research Center, we're usually surrounded by students doing a PhD in operations research, and it's really interesting to discuss with them what they're doing, and it's a really nice ecosystem.
Yes, so I'll add a fun story. About Arnold Barnett. He's the funniest professor you'll ever see, and he had the most adorable picture last year of him and his wife that both work here, had like their wedding anniversary. But he's the only professor that wears Hawaii shirts in December. He also does like funny impression voices when he reads everything, which is great for someone who are not that interested in probability. So I think he's the only person that enabled me to not look at my phone for the classes and to pay attention full time, because you think you're kind of falling asleep, and then he like does this extreme high-pitched voice that wakes everyone back up and kind of is like, okay, we're back here again. So so it's, you have a wide range of the theoretical level of the professors, but it's good that they all have a sense of humor.
Great. Any questions about the faculty or the courses? Chimney did mention some new initiatives we've been doing. This year, we're really excited to offer students to do research assistantships. So students have to invest a minimum of 10 hours per week to do the RA-ship. And if they are successful in applying for the RA-ship, which they do in the summer, and they get a faculty member, then they receive research funding as well, which goes to offset the tuition cost. In addition, they can choose not to do that, and they can do the research as an elective if they don't want to do it for the tuition funding.
I have a question from online too. One second.
Okay. Why don't you go first since you're here? Yeah.
Since you mentioned RA-ship, is there also like a TA-ship then?
Yes. Yes. So the first semester students cannot be teaching assistants. So the question is there RAs and TAs? And the answer is yes, only in the spring for the teaching assistants, because you're just here for the first time in the fall, and it's not really a good environment for you to start teaching others while it's your first time here. But in the spring, yes, you can be TAs.
So can you talk about your coding and computer science background, and if you felt like you needed to have it for the classes? And
Great.
needed to learn?
So the question is, please comment on your coding experiences and what you felt you needed, or your experiences here. Yeah.
So in my undergrad, for my thesis, I had coded in MATLAB, and I had experience with R, but I would say a preliminary understanding of how coding is done is sufficient, because here they also have different software tool modules where they give you a brief introduction with regards to R, Python, and other languages you will learn after coming here. And the support that you get from the ecosystem here in terms of your classmates and the teaching assistants for the course, I think it's more than sufficient to handle it. If you have a basic introduction to coding, I don't think it should be too much of an issue. So I came from a mechanical engineering background, which is not either computer science or math, but I had some experience with coding with regards to my thesis.
Just going to say that I agree with what Chinmay said. Everyone is very supportive. Definitely you should come in with some knowledge of a language, but it's not like specific that you need to be an expert in Python by any means.
Yeah, so I did an engineering school in France as my undergraduate, and we did like in applied mathematics and engineering. And so we did a bit of Python. So I had some experience with that and some experience with R during that I learned during my internship. And I think it was okay. I didn't feel like I was behind, but there are definitely very different levels of coding for different people, and they're looking for different objectives. So I think everyone finds their place, and the environment is very supportive. So you can really learn if you feel like you're not ready enough. And yeah.
Yes, to support what everyone else said. I was a CS major in my undergrad, and I spent 2 summers as a software developer. So I guess kind of heavy on like the C and Java part of that. But I would say as long as you have some sense of, I would say like discrete math, like how a computer works, the logic of how a computer thinks, you would say, you're definitely good to go. And I would support what we just mentioned, that different people have different objectives. Like the most computer heavy people, some of them in my class ended up as more of a data engineer, data wrangling kind of job. So I would say, I mean, if you don't have a lot of coding experience, maybe that job would be more work for you to get, but to go through the program, there's sufficient support and everyone. That's why it's such an advantage that there's such a spectrum for how technical you want to work later also.
Great, thank you. Yeah, going back to the prerequisites. We don't really have any prerequisites for you to apply to our program, but we strongly recommend that you learn at least one basic programming language. You can choose C, C++, Java, SPSS, MATLAB, whatever it may be. Just have some exposure so that your learning curve is not so high when you jump into optimization. The other courses we recommend are math courses, so come in with some experience in linear algebra, calculus definitely helps, differential equations, just so you're familiar with the notation will really help in your advanced classes. Okay, I'm going to talk briefly about the capstone model, and Caroline can talk about her experience. So we have a really unique model with the capstone project. Our students haven't experienced it yet, but they're about to, and I know they're really excited. So as I mentioned before, it's the 7-month project that you work with real companies, and you work in teams of two master's students along with a PhD student who acts as an advisor and an MIT faculty member. This team of 4 works on the dedicated research project with the company for the period from January until August. At the end of the August period, the students write a 30-page report and present it to an audience of their peers, faculty, as well as all the companies that are participating. And then hopefully they are successful and they graduate. And in August, they can go into full-time employment. Actually, 50% of our students went into full-time employment with their capstone company, and then the other 50% chose to pursue other opportunities, whether it be PhD opportunities or roles at other firms that they found. Some sample capstone projects, our students haven't even seen this yet, are companies like BMW, who are offering students to go to Germany to work on a vehicle configuration optimization model for their cars. We have GE, which is based in Kentucky, looking at the Internet of Things for their appliances, refrigerators, washing machines, all the appliances in the home are now connected on the internet. So they want to predict the potential failure of these appliances for their clients. We have McKinsey, which is a very close sponsor to us. They've been with us since the beginning. We did a project last year on natural language processing. The topic was vector-based extraction from text, so pretty technical research project. So these research projects vary in level of technical difficulty, and our students can rank the projects and select the ones they prefer based on the topics. Another one that Caroline worked on is StubHub. She went to San Francisco in the summer and also worked in their Boston office. She worked on not this project, but a different one, but there were 2. Yeah. So StubHub is a secondary ticket sales app online, and they worked on the pricing. So how much do you actually charge if you have an extra ticket to sell to your friends or people online if you're no longer going to use that ticket? Swiss Re, the last one here, is one of the largest reinsurance companies in the world. They're based in Switzerland. They're offering a project this year in New York City to predict and analyze the impact of wildfires that are very common in California and Canada right now and are a huge problem in the insurance industry. So lots of different projects. I'll just ask Caroline right now to comment on her experience with StubHub and how did you find your project and the experience for you?
Yeah, no, so I can kind of, is this working?
No.
On the bottom. It should be on. Okay.
Okay. Yes, so to kind of elaborate a little bit on what Michelle said, basically there's a list of projects, obviously not for everyone. And then there's one day where kind of the projects pitch to you, and then there's another day where you pitch to the project, aka interview with all of them. And then everyone ranks all the projects, and the projects ranks all the teammates, and some magic happens and everyone's assigned to a project. So I was working for StubHub on building a recommender system for them used on their homepage. Basically what we wanted to do was say, is there a way we can incorporate how far, like based on geo preferences and timing preferences, recommend different things to different people based on the preference that, for example, if you live in rural Kentucky, you might have a different travel preference than if you live in New York. And also if you are a family with kids, maybe you like to plan more in advance for your date night than a young couple living in the city. To kind of see if there's a way we can figure out and approach that using their data, their past purchase history, and everything. So it was a very great experience. I was very lucky that StubHub was here because we were able to go on site in their Boston office once or twice a week, every week for the spring semester, which allowed us to have a lot of momentum in our project and to be able to continuously bounce things, ideas off of them, and then with our PhD advisor as well, to kind of make sure that everything stayed in check before obviously going full-time in the summer, which was also great because it allows you to have that like full-on focus that you really want. And StubHub was great because of their autonomy. They really came in kind of with an open mindset of, this is what we have an idea about, but how do you want to frame your project? What do you think you can do? So very, very lucky in that regard. And living in San Francisco, on a side note, there were, like Michelle mentioned, 2 StubHub projects. So we all rented this super awesome apartment, lived there for like 4 weeks, all 4 of us, which was a great bonding experience as well. Yeah, so definitely learned a lot.
Great. Are there any questions about the capstone, either online or, yes? Go ahead.
What department are the PhD advisors from? Like, are they from Sloan? Or?
They're from the ORC.
They're from the Operations Research Center. Yep. Question?
So are you also taking classes while you're doing the internship? And if you're, for example, going to one of the other locations, how would the classes doing the internship?
Yeah. So the question is, are you taking other classes while doing the capstone? You're taking other classes only during the winter and the spring period. You're going to be taking electives alongside the capstone project. But in the summer, when you go full-time as an intern, for example, to McKinsey or BCG or StubHub, you don't take any other classes because you're working 40 hours a week as an intern and being part of the work experience. Nina, are there any questions online?
One of the questions, which is more relevant for you, they want to know how this program could help you if you're interested in fintech, and if that's something.
Sure. Okay, so the question is there fintech in our program? So analytics is applicable to every industry. So you can see that we have sample projects here from different industries. We do have financial services projects. So yes, every industry is relevant, and we try to have a diverse set of companies come on campus, which I'll show you in a bit. Okay, so this is the class profile for last year. I do want to share, it's also in those brochures. So if you haven't grabbed a brochure, please do so. It's a little more detailed than the brochures, but basically I just want to hit on a couple things. The 3.9 GPA is not a minimum GPA. So you don't have to have a 3.9. It's just the average that our incoming class had last year for your undergraduate degree. So a lot of people ask me, what's the minimum GPA? We have no minimum GPA cutoff, but it is a very competitive program. So we tried to select the strongest 40 to 50 students that we're looking for this year. Next year, we'll be looking for 60 students. What's the minimum GRE quant is a common question. You can take the GRE or the GMAT, we don't care. Most of our students come in from a STEM major, so they take the GRE. The average GRE score is really high, it's 168, but you don't have to have a 168. I would say anything above a 160 should be okay. Try to take it again if your score is under 160. We are trying to increase our female population as well as our underrepresented minorities. So there is an initiative to make these populations more aware of our program. We are a new program, so if you know anyone who fits our profile and is interested, please let them know. Undergraduate degrees are mainly STEM, but we do have finance and economics majors coming into our program. This year, we also have an English major from Stanford in our program, but he minored in mathematics. So there is no set undergraduate degree, but the majority are from STEM. And undergraduate universities, Chimney's from IIT, Rachel's from Wellesley, Celine's from École Centrale, and Caroline is from
SMU.
Southern Methodist University in Texas, to remember. So very diverse background. You'll be alongside awesome students who are really high caliber, curious, high achieving, but also very helpful to each other. So I just want to ask the students how you feel about your current class and your classmates, and what experiences you can share about your classmates. So you can go first.
Yeah, I'll go first. So as Michelle mentioned, we were only 16, which creates a very tight-knit group. And as in the fall, you take all your classes together, so it kind of feels like you're like you see the same people every day. And it's great that you can like sit together and you always have someone to study with. And I want to emphasize on what Michelle said, the fact that there is really no competition. There really is a sense of we are all very diverse and we all want different things. So more of a helping each other up sort of way about it, at least for our class, and I'm sure for the following class as well. That's something that you can't, like, at least I remember I thought that maybe that would be something that was intimidating by going to a school like MIT, but luckily that was not true. And class experiences is great. Like I said, I had a great time in the summer, like living with my classmates, spending time with them 24/7. It really builds those bonds. That you still can talk with them every day, and it's great to have some friends.
Yeah, so the class this year is I really enjoy being in this class. It's really diverse and we're all very different, but then we spend a lot of time together and we all appreciate each other a lot. And there's really, like Caroline said, like there's really no competitive sentiment, which I find is really healthy. And we usually always work together, which is nice. There's a lot of support to each other, and also we had a great experience together by doing a full retreat where we all went together as a class in Maine for a weekend, and that was a really great experience because for 2 days you just spend time with your peers and you cook together, you go kayaking together, hiking together, and it's really nice to be off campus and to get to know people much better actually.
Yeah, I mean, another thing is about, I think at least 2/3 of us live within walking distance of campus. So we spend a lot of time together, even when we're not studying, which is really nice. As someone who was out of undergrad for a few years, it's like nice to be back in the college mindset of kind of like living and working together. And then again, what they said, everyone is really collaborative, and that goes beyond just the MBANs. Like everyone at Sloan and everyone in the ORC is really nice and helpful. Like just an hour ago, I was working on a problem set and someone, like one of the computer science students saw me working on it and walked by and he was like, oh, like, can we go over this together? And like, I had barely ever spoken to him before. We just like recognized each other and it wasn't weird at all. It was like, oh yeah, that was a tough one. Like, let's talk about this. So that's pretty common. Like in the operations research center, like people dropping by each other's desks. We're all in like either the same classes or similar classes. So there's a lot of overlap and a lot of people helping each other out. The other thing is everyone in our class especially is hilarious. Like we have the best senses of humor. I mean, I guess I can't speak to myself, but I think everyone else is hilarious. And so we have a lot of like fun together. So it's really nice.
I totally agree with everything that they've said. I'll just like to reiterate about the supportiveness and the fact that it's not competitive at all. And that is actually true to an extent which is hard to fathom from where I come from in general, because there are generally a lot more applicants compared to the number of seats that are available. And the other thing that I would like to add in addition to the academic experience is the fact that because you have people from different parts of the world, it's a very enriching cultural experience. And you don't feel left out at all because everyone makes an effort to ensure that you are being a part of the experience. And I think that is something that's truly exceptional.
Great, thank you. Any questions about student life, student experiences, and the class profile?
Where does GRE and GMAT verbal come into play for admissions?
Oh, yes. The GMAT verbal score, we do look at your verbal scores. Don't bomb your verbal section. The average verbal score, I believe, was 165 on the GRE. Again, if you're under 160, try to take it again. And the GMAT verbal, I'm not sure what that was. Do you have that data? Yeah, only 2 people took the GMAT last year, so I only know the GRE scores. But just try to do well. We do look at them. We don't ignore them. We also look at your AWA, but not too much. So I think a 3 or higher is fine. Okay. All right, I'm going to move on to careers. So talk about what career offerings we have. So we do offer students a dedicated career advisor. Her name is Chris. She's awesome. She provides extensive career coaching. So you get resume reviews, you get LinkedIn reviews, you get mock interviews, you get technical mock interview training, you get behavioral mock interview training. And we have companies coming in for a speaker series, we have a career fair, we have the capstone companies coming in. So you get to meet all these companies on campus. And we also have some off-site visits. For example, we have a data science trek in the spring each year where we bring our students to California and Seattle, Washington, to visit data science companies on the West Coast. So all these companies you see here, and then we have companies giving offers to our students. I'll just move on to the slide. So the salary ranges, you can see, are very high. Our average salary upon graduation is somewhere near 6 figures. So pretty good return on your academic investment. Sample companies include Amazon, McKinsey, Uber, Facebook, a lot of tech, internet companies, consulting companies, but we do also have healthcare, we have transportation companies, and government companies coming to recruit for our students. And sample titles include BI, engineer, data science, operations, your typical titles. So again, I said the DATATREK was awesome experience this year. They're preparing for your spring trek. You haven't had it yet, but the students get to choose what companies they visit. So it's not, it's not the same each year. Last year we decided to go to Boeing, Amazon, Nordstrom, and in San Francisco we did Airbnb, Tesla, Netflix, Google. So really cool companies. So I'm going to just here's a photo from the data science trek that we did last year. I'm just going to go back to this slide and have our students talk about what their experiences have been in your career coaching and your future, your interaction with the company so far that you've met on campus.
All right. I go first. So like Michelle mentioned, Chris Bolzan is our career advisor, and she has been extremely helpful with the advice that she's given us with regards to how we should be channeling or would like to channel our path post the business analytics program here at MIT. So things like Michelle mentioned, which is the resume review that you have with her, you have to, before we get matched to our companies, we need to come up with a resume that goes to the companies. So she's been extremely helpful with drafting that resume, and going forward, she's always available to talk to by appointment. So you can meet with her to discuss about any potential jobs you want to look into, what you have to do before that. And with regards to the career coaching, I believe, so this year we also were invited to McKinsey's office, their office in Boston, and which was an opportunity for us to interact with them one-on-one in their own setting, and which was extremely helpful because you get to hear firsthand from people who are working at the McKinsey office. And soon I believe we're also going to be going to Google here in Kendall Square. So these experiences basically help you understand firsthand so that you can make an informed decision about the industry you want to enter. And once you've decided that, I think the fact that especially for us, I'm not sure this happened for Caroline, but because we have seniors who've gone into such established companies and have gone through the process once, there'll be tremendous support once we decide which companies we want to target.
Yeah, I mean, echoing what Chinmay said, Chris, the career advisor, is amazing. As someone whose undergraduate career services was a little bit lackluster, and I think that's pretty common at a lot of schools, I didn't have high expectations, and she is amazing. So we, like Chinmay said, she's done a resume review. We've met with other people to do resume reviews. We've done peer group resume reviews. I think at this point, like half of my class has edited my resume. And it's been really, really valuable. And we're doing the same thing with cover letters and LinkedIn later next month, I believe. And then the other thing, just in terms of careers in general, we don't recruit in the fall, which is really nice because most people want to go into tech or some sort of technical consulting, and those companies are kind of more on a rolling recruiting cycle. So it's not like a typical, maybe like an MBA cycle where you start school and you immediately have to start interviewing. So we got this whole semester to really ease into it, to do some networking calls, to think about things, to go on these on-site visits. And that gave us time to settle in and actually really think about what we wanted to do, which I found to be a good experience.
Yeah, so I also love Chris. She's really great. She gives like all the resources and best tips so that you can really make the great, like the improvements you need to your resume or to your LinkedIn profile. I mean, really all the tools you need. So that's really, really helpful. And yeah, about the companies coming here. Well, we're really lucky to be at MIT, to be an ecosystem that really appeals to many companies. And the business analytics speaker series is also a great opportunity to meet people from various firms. There were speakers from the Air Force. There were speakers from
Yeah, we've had
there was GE,
Shell,
there was
Chevron,
BMW, Shell. Yeah, and it's really a great opportunity. It's coming this week, right? So every 2 weeks we have it's a great opportunity to see how data science is applied in the industry with an insider talking about it, someone you can reach out to easily, and then career-wise it's really interesting. So yeah, we have great resources.
Yes, I don't know how much to add. Like everyone said, Chris is awesome.
About the Trek.
Oh yeah, the DATATREK is a lot of fun. You see so many companies that at the end your head is just spinning. You don't really know where you are. When Michelle is rushing everyone to the bus to make this schedule to be at Lyft from 9 until 9:30 and then be at Twitter at 9:30 to 10, and we're like, but there's we need to get there. No, but I was eating our takeout in-and-out lunch in the Airbnb extremely nice meeting room that's modeled after one of their listings, and we just walk in with burgers and French fries. No, that shows that it's good to come from MIT because they still let you in. So no, but like everyone said, Chris is great. It's I never knew so many words in the English language for creating, developing, visualizing. There's apparently a lot because you're not supposed to use the same one multiple times. No, but on the more serious note, there's a lot of career coaching, interview coaching. I think at the end, combined with both from Norway and here, I ended up somewhere with 9 job offers, and I don't know a lot of other people that have that. And yeah, just coming with the MIT brand is really strong, and this program's brand is also very strong. So you have a good leverage when you get to get an interview, and then you have excellent coaching to actually get you through the interview process, and then you have Chris to help you negotiate at the end. So it's basically kind of a smooth sailing.
Great. Any questions about career, jobs? Also, what wasn't mentioned is that some of our students also choose to go on to a PhD at MIT. So you could finish the MBAn program and then apply for the PhD program directly. Any questions online about careers?
So someone asked about being an international student in the recruiting process.
Oh, yes.
STEM certified.
Yeah, so our program is a STEM program, which means that students can work for up to 3 years on an OPT visa once you graduate from our program, because it is STEM certified, and that is 2 years additional on top of the standard 1-year OPT, optional practical training for international students. And can you talk, because you are an international student, did you have trouble with the international recruiting?
No, I would say that not a single person asked me. It was more okay, how do we fix it? And then they when I did accept my offer, the second call they had to me was to their legal team with immigration. So definitely the companies that are up on Michelle's list, they have lots of experience. I mean, obviously this isn't true for any company, but the big ones, they have so many international students and a big army of lawyers to help everyone. So definitely it's not a downside at all. And the OPT extension is great. It gives you a lot of chance. I mean, in these days, nothing is certain, but at least for now, it's a good opportunity.
Okay. Any other questions? That's it. Do you have a question? Yes.
Did any students went to entrepreneurship?
And to what?
Entrepreneurship.
Oh, yes, we do.
Is it combined with the trust center or any?
Yeah, we do. The question is, did anyone go into a startup? We do have a very strong relationship with the Martin Trust Center, so students can. Actually, the office is right next to the Martin Trust Center, the ORC and the entrepreneurship office. And so students can participate in activities. There's the 100K competition. We have one student who's starting their own business once they graduated AB from the first class. So students do choose to do that, or you can go into a startup. There's lots of startups hiring in data science. So yeah, you can participate. Have any of you participated?
I haven't participated. So one of the electives that people take here, in addition to what we discussed, was the entrepreneurship lab, wherein you get to work with a startup for a full semester. I think that's the experience that they've had has been really, really good.
I was going to say that.
Okay. There's a question back.
Yeah, so a question about the capstone project, because it sounds like this project is like one of the main channels students from this program get jobs eventually. So, so the first question is, so for the current class of 30 students, how many companies they offer the capstone projects? And the second part to this question is, so does each company only accept like one student, or is it possible that they would take multiple? And there's a third important part here.
Okay.
So the third part is, so I was looking at the brochure, so there's a pitch day, so I'm assuming that that kind of functions as like the interview super day. So is that the only factor that is deciding like who gets to the company?
Okay. Yeah, I can clarify on the entire capstone process. So you are right. Most of the companies use the capstone as a recruiting tool, but not all of them. Some of them don't use it as a recruiting tool. They just use it to do work. But this year we have 30 students and 15 companies because we designed it that way. There's 2 students per company that go into the group. Some companies are offering more than one project, so the students will have a choice about what project to do. And the entire project is the interview. So there's no, it's not just the interview time, it's how the students perform during their time in the spring, in the winter, in the summer. Some of the students didn't get offers until the end of the summer. Some students got offers in May. So Caroline, do you want to comment on that?
And also, I think a key aspect is that just because you don't get matched to the capstone company, that doesn't mean that you can't work for that company. Because yes, you might not have the internship experience, but they're definitely interested in this program and people with that experience. And I think at least 2 people from my class ended up working for capstone companies that was not their capstone company. So, but obviously then you have to go through a more rigorous interview than a 20-minute conversation. But at least I know in my experience, you have a unique you have an excellent way of talking to people that know that work environment, and also probably you can skip some like HR rounds or something like that. But I mean, also in any sense in interviews is like, yes, it's challenging with technical interviews, but on the other hand, would you really want to be hired for a job that you can't do? So it goes both ways.
So say if I'm interested in 5 companies and I rank them by my preference 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so on the pitch day, do I make 5 separate pitches? And worst case scenario, I'll match with
you at least for us, it's not necessarily, well, I guess, yeah, they call it a pitch day, but you interview with every company, but it's not a pitch in front of a lot of people. It's more like a conversation where you go and meet with representatives from the companies. You tell them a little bit. I mean, obviously it varies. Like I had some where it was more like hands-on. Okay, how do you know this, and some that was more, this is our problem. What's your take on it? And others that were more along the line as, tell us about yourself. We're just gonna talk for 20 minutes. So that varies a lot by company, but you do get the chance to talk to all of them. Yes.
Yeah. So it works like that. But this year is a little different because we have pitch day for the companies. So let's say there's 15 companies, they all pitch at the same time, sequentially on the same, in the morning, for example. And in the afternoon, the companies will interview the students. This year it's in teams instead of 1 by 1. So the students form teams and you will interview in the teams in the entire afternoon. So one team will interview with 8 companies at once. At the end of this whole process, the students rank the companies 1 to 15. The companies rank the students by teams 1 to 15. Then there's a matching algorithm based on the ranking process. And then the students get matched. That's how it works. Yeah, it's pretty intense.
Yeah, so one question for that. So you mentioned that so 50% of the students got jobs through this project. So I'm interested, so out of the students who do the capstone project, what is the percentage of students who eventually got a return offer from these companies?
I think almost... So a lot of people got return offers, like 80%. And for those who didn't get return offers, it was mostly because those people already had accepted a job offer somewhere else. So then it was like, why would they give an offer when they because it's all about communication. Like the capstone companies obviously want you to tell them if you're interviewing other places and if you have competing offers. And if you tell them for whatever reason, like I'm not interested in living in Kentucky, they're not going to give you an offer if they know you're gonna say no to it anyway, right? So I think at least it's my experience that everyone that wanted to work for their capstone company got an offer, and the people that didn't was because of other reasons.
Yep. Okay, I'm gonna move on because we're probably short on time. You probably want to go home at some point. So this is our Facebook page. We are on social media, and you can see that students not only have lots of classes, but they also have fun. So our students, we organize lots of student dinners. They participate in social events and conferences. So our students are also actively involved in organizing conferences. You can see Caroline here at the top right with Suhail. She participated in the Sports Analytics Conference, which is the largest of its kind in the whole world for sports analytics. They have amazing speakers come, famous NFL players, NBA players, Nate Silver, speaks. And then I want to ask, the last question is about student activities, conferences, clubs. Do you want to talk about your experiences so far? And Caroline, your experience with the conferences that you organized?
Yeah, so as of other stuff, I guess, like Michelle mentioned, I was on the sports analytics team for the sports analytics conference, which was awesome. It's like 2 days at the Heinz. It's crazy. So many people, so many famous people. I wish I could be in multiple places at once during that. And then I also helped with the tech conference, which is a smaller conference, so it's much more hands-on, which was really fun. I actually worked with getting sponsors, so you have to cold call people and ask them for money, which sounds terrible, except that you say you're from MIT, so then it's awesome. And of other things that I helped organize. We have our own career fair, which we organize. For that, I worked for the social media. So if you scroll far back on MIT Analytics Instagram pictures, that's my work. And besides that, there are a lot of clubs. I was a little bit in the data analytics club, just for general Sloan, which is a great way to talk to people that are, at least initially, gonna be the people that are hiring you. So it's good to know their mentality as well. And as Michelle mentioned, there's a lot of diversity, and there's a lot of there's a club for anything basically. And also, if you don't like technical clubs, I was in a running club, which was cool. Ran around to Charles, meet some other people. Yeah, lots of stuff to do.
Yes, so we have a big variety of clubs we can do here. One I'm involved in because I want to do something that's maybe to mingle a bit with the MBAs, because it's mostly Sloan groups, is a community innovation challenge. So it's an event that will be organized in March, and there's money already raised, and it's a case competition for students across the whole USA for how to improve community development so that small community lenders can be less disadvantaged. So it's really interesting because I'm working with MBA students who have a lot of experience in community development. It's something that's completely different from anything I've learned so far. And so yeah, what we're doing is contacting universities all across the whole US, something that I had never done before. So it's really interesting. And in addition to that, there are many clubs. I mean, the only thing we're lacking is time, because there's so many things that I wish I could do, but there's just not that much time because we have to focus also on the academics and the career. But yeah, I know there's a wine tasting club, there's like a foodie club, there's running club, data analytics, and dancing too. So I'm part of because you're at MIT, so you can also take part of some of the undergraduates, groups that are across the whole MIT. So I'm doing hip hop with undergrads, so which is nice. And we have shows and everything, so it's really cool.
It's this weekend.
It doesn't see it.
We're talking.
But no, I don't want to come.
I'm also part of the Sports Analytics Conference. It's actually one of the things that drew me to MIT. I'm the head of social media, which is really cool. I have, 40,000 Twitter followers, which is awesome and terrifying. Alex Rodriguez, DM'd me today. And I was like, oh, cool. Hi, what's up? He doesn't know that the person running this is a 25-year-old student. So that's been a really great experience to also meet people outside of Sloan and just in the greater Boston area. I'm also a class senator, which means that I, along with 2 other students, represent our class in the Sloan Senate. So we help write bylaws and make sure that the school is functioning as well as it possibly can. So that's been really awesome. And then, I mean, outside of organized clubs, just like as a class, we do lots of things, like fun things together. So like Chinmay said, like we're constantly like introducing each other to like different types of food and like going out to eat. Over Thanksgiving, a lot of people didn't go home. So there was like a dim sum outing that was organized by one of our students, and just like things like that. So grabbing movies, going to plays, things like that.
I'm a part of the Management Consulting Club and the Data Analytics Club here. But in addition to everything that they said, there are also functions that you can just go to enjoy. Like we have a community function that happens here on some Thursdays. It's called C function, where some culture, like they'll present a culture about China, or you'll have something about Mexico. So you can just go there, have fun, talk to people. So there are a lot of opportunities to mingle with people at Sloan, at ORC. There are events that happen at ORC, like for example, a Thanksgiving dinner. So there are a lot of opportunities. So my dorm, I stay in Ashtown. So my dorm organizes a coffee hour every Thursday, which is free for anyone who wants to come. So in general, you meet people from across MIT. So in general, it's a good experience.
Great. Okay, I'm just going to move on to the end so that you can ask questions all together. So the MIT Master Business Analytics program is part of the broader ecosystem of MIT Sloan. So our flagship program is the MBA program. It's 400 students each year. So at any point in time, you'll have 800 students on campus because it's a 2-year program. On top of that, the EMBA program and the Sloan Fellows program is for executives. These are people who are CEOs, CFOs, in the executive C-suite who come to MIT to earn their MBA. The EMBA is part-time and the Sloan Fellows is 1 year full-time. That's 120 students per class, so 240 students on campus from those 2 classes. On the finance vertical, we have one of the top finance programs in the world. We have the originators of the Black-Scholes Merton pricing model for derivatives pricing, coming from MIT finance faculty. The finance program is 120 students as well, split between 9 months, 12 months and 18 months. So you can either do 18 months or 12 months. And so that's a huge population. So compared to the class of 30, it's a very small percentage of the entire MIT ecosystem. On the top layer of the graduate programs is the PhD programs. So we have PhDs in management, finance, as well as analytics, which is operations research. And then undergraduates can also major or minor in any of these 3 verticals. But we are looking to grow the analytics program. This is the 2nd year, and we're going to our 3rd. So we expect our program to hopefully catch up with the MBA program at some point in time. So if you enjoyed our presentation, we hope that you will apply this year or in the future. The application process is pretty standardized, same for all of our programs. The only unique thing this year is that we're doing 1 slide presentation instead of a second essay. You do have to write a short essay about the slide presentation, but it's not like a full-page essay as we usually require. We're looking for a data visualization of a project that you've worked on for you to submit up to 3 slides. You can submit 1, 2, or 3 slides. Don't submit 4 slides on 1 slide, please. But yes, it's supposed to be a project that you've worked on. Essay question is basically why you want to come to our program. We do have a video, short video response to a randomized question once you are ready to submit your application. That's just to look at your English language abilities and your presence. So when you submit your application, please don't do it in your pajamas. My only recommendation, and then 2 letters of recommendation from faculty members. And then if your application is reviewed successfully, we will invite you for either a Skype interview or a on-campus interview in March. Okay? Questions? Yes.
For the video questions, is it more like a behavioral question?
Yes, the video question, the question was, is it behavioral? It is behavioral. It'll be questions like, what's your favorite class? What did you do last summer? Because you only have a minute to respond. So the video question will pop up. It's a randomized, they didn't have this, so they're like, what's going on? No, it's new this year. It's a randomized question from a question list of 1,000 or more questions. And it'll pop up on the screen. You'll have 1 minute to think of an answer. And 1 minute to respond. And it's recorded on your laptop. It goes straight up to the application portal. It's behavioral. But during the interview process, we do have technical interviews. So we'll ask data science questions, probability questions. If you have optimization on your transcript, we'll ask you an optimization question. It just depends what your technical backgrounds are. Another question? Yeah.
This is for the panel. So I don't know, like, if any of you went straight from undergrad to master's of business analytics, and I just wonder, like, not having that work experience, has it made it more difficult for you to either understand the material or like just the experience in general?
Okay.
Hi, so I came directly from undergrad. The only experience that I had was internship, and I don't think that has been a hindrance at all to understanding or grasping the material here. So at least to begin with, the courses are fairly technical, so I don't think that is going to make so much of a difference. And even if it does, I think people here are there to help you out, so it won't be much of an issue. It's not like how people propose it for an MBA, where they propose that you come with some work experience so that you can grasp the material better. The material here is fairly technical, so I don't think it's much of an issue.
Yeah, so I'm actually in the minority that I have a couple of years of work experience. I think that something like 2/3 of our class came straight out of undergraduate. I'd say there's pros and cons to both. The pros of coming out of undergraduate are that you are very much in a school mindset. So it was really hard for me to get back into the mode of like studying, taking notes in class, taking exams, things like that. The pros of coming out of a work experience is that I do feel like I'm a little bit more focused in my job search, and I really, really know what I want to do. And my resume is a little bit more robust than some of the other people's.
Yeah, so I did, after my undergrad, I did 1 year of experience with 2 internships of 6 months. And I think it was more for me to get some experience to know which kind of sectors I'm interested in. And so we really confirmed my taste for data. And I think it was good to, well, it makes you have some perspective about what you're doing right now. Like in the master, you feel like you try to relate to what's really useful in the industry and what's purely academic. Because when you're just, when you've always been in academics, you don't really know actually like how the professional world is. But when you do get a glimpse, you know what competencies you want to improve, and so then it makes you make different maybe choices of electives and stuff.
I also came straight from undergrad, like the majority, and I would say it's definitely not a disadvantage at all. Most people have had some sort of internship, so you have some sort of sense of real world versus not real world. And also, as opposed to the MBAs that have a lot of experience, maybe there are some classes when they ask you, so what did you do with managing people, that maybe you're not raising your hand and running to the front of the class. But I mean, for me personally, it was just great to be able to listen to people that have that and learn from that and be able to kind of start right afoot. Like you don't have to make mistakes before you even start. You can learn from people right away.
Great.
Any question? Yes, question.
Question for the students. So I wanted to also know what other schools that you guys have applied to and what made you guys to eventually choose MIT.
Good question.
Okay, I will also go first. I was between here and in Columbia, Northwestern, Imperial in London, Oxford in London, NYU. Those are the ones I remember. I applied to a lot of places. But I chose MIT because it's ranked number 1. It's the best school in the world. No, but I really like the emphasis of MIT's mind and hand. It really goes through everything the school does, and the focus on application. Like I am a person that I'm less interested in a PhD. I'm more interested in like, okay, I want to make a career. I want to work in industry, and MIT has that kind of silver through everything they do, even in the mission statement. Like we want to do. I mean, they were even founded as like a counterpoint to Harvard and their academic focus. So that just really resonated with me. In addition to it being a 1-year program, which I thought was a great chance to kind of learn something and get your hands dirty, easy, fast, and then you can see kind of where it takes you from there. So I guess what made me decide, it was when I got into MIT, it really wasn't a decision at all. It was my first choice from the beginning.
Yeah, so I also applied to Columbia, Berkeley in OR, and Cornell, I think. Yes. And so, yeah, MIT because it's MIT. And yeah, what I think is really a great advantage of the master we're doing is like, since it's a bit new, they really take care of us so much. I mean, everything is like Michelle does such a great job at preparing us for everything we're doing, like such a good planning of our schedule. Like everything is so packed and so intense, but also so complete. And compared to other, I don't know how, I talked to a few other students in other programs, and I feel like we're so much more prepared professionally. I mean, there's so much resources that we have. So yeah, both professionally and academically, we have so much to do, and it's really great to feel like we're really taken care of, really. Like it's really a great program.
I also overlapped with these two. I was deciding between here, Northwestern, Carnegie Mellon, and NYU, and Columbia, and Georgetown. Ultimately, so MIT was basically my first choice, but my only hesitation was that it was really new. And as soon as I came on campus, both for my interview and then for the admitted students day, I was blown away by how organized everything was and how it didn't feel like a new program at all. When they started this program, it took them a really long time because they wanted to start it right. They didn't want to have a year or two of like, let's figure it out. It was like from day one, it was ready to go. And it really felt that way when I came on campus. I mean, it's small, but I liked that. I liked the amount of personal attention we get. Our career advisor is dedicated to 30 of us. In the MBAs, they have one career advisor, I think, to every 100 students or more. And that makes a really big difference. So that was ultimately how I chose to come here, because compared to the other schools that have been running for longer, they were so much less organized. They cared so much less about their students. At a lot of places, master's programs are just moneymakers or feeders into PhD programs, and it doesn't feel like either here.
So I had offers from Stanford, Cornell, and Columbia, and MIT was a no-brainer for me because of two reasons, and I'll tell you one more thing later. So the first was the smaller class size, which was very appealing to me. Like they said, because it was new and they could have made the class size very large, but they decided to keep it small so that they could focus on everyone at a very high level. The second thing was it was a one-year program, like Caroline mentioned, and something that blew my mind away was we were supposed to get our results on March of 9th, and that day a courier arrived at my home, which had a book called The Analytics Edge, signed by Dimitri Bertsimas. It had a personal letter from my interviewer saying that congratulations, you got into MIT, and it had a bunch of checklists for the next steps that had to be taken. And this level of interest, or the fact that they were taking efforts to make my transition very smooth into MIT, was something that blew my mind completely away.
Great. Okay, thank you for that. I did not pay them to say any of those things. That's amazing. But I think we're going to wrap it up because it's getting really late. I'm sorry we started a little late, but we'll be here up front here if you have any follow-up questions. And you can always email us at our email address here, businessanalytics@mit.edu. Visit our website. Follow us on social media.
Follow us on social media.
Follow Rachel on Twitter. We have an Instagram account where we profile our students once a week. So thank you very much for coming, and we hope that you will apply. Thank you.
And everyone make sure to check in with Beata so you can